I'm not trying to be rude for the sake of being rude. I'm not trying to cause hurt feelings to get people angry just out of my own personal satisfaction. It may seem that way, but that's not the reason why I'm doing it. When I feel that I need to make a point about something, a very strong point, I have to speak my mind. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I wanted to do another video, kind of like repeating myself from the first one, because the first video that I did on this particular subject, I didn't get that many views. And that was because it was done quite some time ago. And I just wanted to do it again and to give another part to this that I didn't put in the last one. Now, I've gotten some criticisms, which goes with the territory. It's nothing new. And there was a few people who liked it, even though they didn't put any comments on it. But just to go all out, bottom line, this is how I feel. It's not my job to convert people like the way a lot of Christian fundamentalists do. They try to convert people to believing in God, heaven, avoiding hell by pledging their loyalty and their soul and their salvation to Jesus. That Jesus Christ is the only way to save your soul and things like that. And even when I used to believe in God, because I was more of a liberal Christian, I was raised Catholic, but we never, my parents, especially my mom, was never a real traditional follower as far as strict rules. And it kind of rubbed off on me and my other family, my siblings and stuff like that. However, she was a firm believer, and she still is. And right now, we do have our disagreements, but we don't really have a serious heated debate or anything like that. She's okay with the fact that I'm an agnostic. She's not really all that happy about it, but that's just how it is. Same thing with my father. They're kind of hoping that I would, have an epiphany and then accept Jesus and stuff like that. But they lack education. And it's not really their fault, and there's a lot of Christian fundamentalists that are, especially in the Hispanic community, they lack serious education on the history of religion, the true history of Jesus, because the Jesus that we know of, that's been taught to us from the Bible, from the New Testament, is actually false. The Gnostic Gospels of Jesus, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Judas, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and so on, all these different types of books, and that used to be part of the Bible, but it was taken out during the Council of Nicaea. Now, the Bible was actually meant to benefit man, to benefit humans. It wasn't to benefit God or the true nature of God. It's pretty much a lie. The greatest story that was ever told was actually a lie about Jesus' true life, the reason of his birth, and him actually being a divine being that people worshipped and stuff like that. If you read, for those of you who think that what I'm saying is wrong, you should really, as an advice, look up the whole idea of the history of the Council of Nicaea, how Constantine favored the idea of Christianity because of politics and for social and political control, especially the people who actually were in charge of taking out certain books that they actually saw as being, not part of their interest, and they saw it as heresy and stuff like that, even though it wasn't. Now, another part which is the main reason why I'm doing this video is this: what happens to us when we die? I explained in the first video, and I explained about my actual experience of the afterlife on what I saw. I'm going to explain it again. And just to let you know, my true explanation of who or what God is not that I don't believe in God. I just don't believe in God from the Bible's point of view. This authority figure that we should obey and never question, and to actually do what he tells us to do, how we should live, what we should avoid doing, what's considered sinful, and things like that. And there's so much in my point of view, it's tyranny. If you really think about it, and it's also very there's a lot of fascism in it. It's very fascist. I know it's going to be really hard for a lot of people to understand, but it's actually true. It's not something we should put our faith in, because that was taught to us. That wasn't something that we had feelings for. And I was even criticized when I used to be a liberal Christian. That is because liberal Christianity is based on feelings. How I feel. I feel that God really wants us to do this. Maybe he doesn't want us to do that. I feel that God wouldn't necessarily send someone to hell if they did all these bad things and then later on they regretted it because that person had a real messed up life. He was psychologically abused, physically abused, and in some cases, for some people, sexually abused, and then their mind gets all screwed up and there's a great deal of damage and a lot of emotional stuff, emotional scarring and pain. And that's why they commit all these crimes. And who knows that that person was mentally unstable to begin with. But the thing is, I cannot see God punishing someone if that person was so messed up and then emotionally damaged, and he would have said, "Fuck Jesus." Where was he when my fucking father was beating the crap out of me when he was drunk and I was 6 years old, and then he just took it out on me because he argued with my mom and beat the fuck out of her, and he decided to beat the fuck out of me. Where was God when all and it just goes on and on and on with that kind of thing, which is understandable. And then he doesn't accept Jesus, and then he dies from a violent death, and then he goes to hell. And so he cursed Jesus. Well, what about the damage that was done to him? And a lot of Christians will say, well, it doesn't matter. He rejected Jesus, and he's going to burn in hell. He's going to suffer in hell for what he did. And then feelings-wise, based on my own feelings, my emotional viewpoint, it's basically my emotional viewpoint. I was saying, but that doesn't seem right. I don't think that God would actually do that. I mean, I don't think he is really that stern of a father figure, or the authority figure, I mean, to actually do that. If he knows that this man was actually abused as a child and growing up. So how can it be his fault? It can't be. And when I started to question things, a lot of Christians would get angry. Just because I would contradict, because I would speak my own mind. And that's what I loved about being a liberal Christian. And then after so many years, because I even said, if it is true that God did that, regardless of this person's background, then he's not God. If he is this all-powerful, all-knowing, or whatever, it doesn't seem right, then I thought to myself, what if he's evil? And I even made a couple of videos about Lucifer being the good guy. And I explained why in that one. So for those of you who want to see that video, it's called Lucifer is the Good Guy. And I explained why in that one. And anything on Lucifer, if you want to look up my channel, Dare to Speak, and then anything on Lucifer or Satan, and you'll find out what it is. I actually started to have an epiphany and thought to myself that God would have to be evil if this is really how he is. And the whole idea of Jesus being the way and we should worship him no matter what, that kind of thing, it just doesn't make sense to me. It actually contradicts with the way things are supposed to be. So a lot of Christian fundamentalists will say liberal Christians base their faith on their feelings about how they feel. And I'm like, so what? That's the way it should be. That's our right. And they say, well, they should actually base their faith on what is taught to them, what is told to them, what God says, and it's our obligation to obey and not question. And even my mom, a couple of times when I was growing up in my late teens and early 20s to my mid 20s, I've been hearing that every now and then. Don't question, just obey. Do what he says. And even though most people would respect that, and I did kind of respect it to a degree, but I was also being a little bit disrespectful by questioning that, and to this very day, I don't regret it. And what happens to you when you die, going back to that part, which is the main part of this video, it's my personal opinion that we do have choices. God is not really what you would think as far as this tunnel of light. That if you go towards it, you know, that you're going to heaven and stuff like that. To me, I don't think that's how it really is. My personal opinion about who God really is, what the true path of happiness once your soul leaves your body when you die, is that you actually, if you choose this part, which is choosing the universe, the cosmos, because just like what Carl Sagan would say, the famous scientist, we are star stuff harvesting starlight. We are the universe, in other words. We're part of the universe. We're connected to the universe. That's where we came from. That's why when I had this experience, when my soul left my body temporarily, out of body experience, and then I saw the cosmos, and I went towards it, and there was also a little bit of a scary part where something, I know what it is, but I'm not going to mention it, but there was something that was pulling me away from the universe. They didn't want me to go near it, and I felt claws pulling at me, and I felt hissing and growling behind me, but the connection between me and the universe was too strong. So they lost their grip on me, and they got extremely fucking angry. But there was nothing they could do. I still went towards the universe. And when I went there, it was through a triangle, kind of like it looked almost like kind of like a portal in a sense or something. I don't remember. But I went towards it, and when I was in the universe, because it was like an emotional connection, like a magnet, I saw an overwhelming beauty that you can't really describe. I can only describe it as an overwhelming feeling of comfort, happiness, it times 100 million, that kind of thing. The best way that I could actually describe it would be like this, from the movie Contact. This is the best way that I could describe it.
So, celestial event. No words. No words. Describe. Poetry. I should have said a poem. So beautiful. Beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. I had no idea. I had no idea. I had no.
That's the best that I could actually describe it. That's how it really is, in my personal opinion. That's how the real essence of God, who God really is, this energy of unconditional love from the universe. And we're from that dimension. We're from the universe. Now, it may sound like a bunch of pantheistic new age mumbo jumbo or whatever. I know it kind of sounds that way, and it is in a sense, but I honestly believe that's what we are and that's what God is. And I heard this telepathic voice saying, this is what God is. This is God's love. This God is this overwhelming feeling of love that's beyond measure. And I wanted to stay there. That's how deeply emotional. I mean, I felt like the way she felt in that movie, in that part of the movie Contact. It was just so extremely overwhelming. And that's just how it is. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And this is Dare to Speak. And to all of you, take care.